Morning, all. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Monday, April the 14th. Also, previewing tonight's action, we got 6 games in the National Hockey League tonight as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. The last Monday of the regular season is upon us. So Sam Bennett is returning to the lineup tonight for the Florida Panthers as they host the New York Rangers. The Florida Panthers have been dealing with a lot of major injuries. Getting Bennett back in the lineup should help. Tkachuk, of course, is the one that should be back for Game 1 of the playoffs. That's the plan. That's what's supposed to happen. We shall see. For Montreal, tonight is going to be the debut of Demidov in their lineup as they get set for the playoffs, potentially. At practice, Demidov skating with Newhook and Armia. So, very likely that's the trio we're going to see as Demidov makes his National Hockey League debut tonight. Also, a win tonight will clinch not just playoffs, but it guarantees that we get the Washington Capitals and the Montreal Canadiens in the first round. I'm kind of happy about this year's playoffs, especially in the East, the way things are shaken down, because, I know there's people who look and go, oh, Boston and Vancouver out, he's got to be upset. Not really. Last year's playoffs were really, really stressful, especially the first round. There weren't really that many series where I could just relax and just watch hockey and not really care who won. This year, I think we're going to get fantastic hockey, and I'm enjoying the idea of just watching and then seeing how it all turns out. Without having that same emotionally invested, just that amount of emotional upheaval can be a lot. So yeah, Montreal wins tonight. They get themselves a playoff spot. They would officially eliminate the Columbus Blue Jackets, and so we'll see how that goes tonight for Montreal. They are hosting Chicago, so there's a good chance Montreal punches their ticket tonight. Speaking of Chicago, though. This is the first time this has happened in NHL history. I'm kind of surprised by this. This is the first time in NHL history that all 4 of the original 6 teams based in the U.S., Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and the Rangers, have missed the playoffs in the same season. Not really a huge surprise Chicago misses. Mild surprise Boston misses, considering they were getting older and we've been waiting for them to fall off. Detroit, they hadn't made the playoffs in a long time, so we were hopeful they make the playoffs. Not a huge surprise they don't. The Rangers are a large surprise that they have not made the playoffs this year. I would expect them to bounce back. I've already seen on a couple of different broadcasts now the conversation about how the Rangers, they missed the playoffs and then they won the Stanley Cup the following year in '94. And the parallels that they're trying to pull from this. And there's definitely something to that, but the Rangers... they definitely need to figure this out in the offseason. I still think they're a good team. I'm very surprised they didn't rally in the second half and make the playoffs, but here we are. Scott Arniel, when asked yesterday about Samberg, who got hurt during that game last night, saying he believes Samberg's okay, which would be good because for the Winnipeg Jets, they don't want to become another team looking at major injuries as we get set for the playoffs. It is alarming to me how many key players are hurt with the playoffs less than a week away. So if Samberg's okay for Winnipeg, good, because the Winnipeg Jets are going to need all hands on deck for a potential first-round matchup with St. Louis. That could happen. If it does, that's where people bring up 2019. 2019 is going to be brought up the same reason I bring up 2010 if we have a 1-8 matchup between Washington and Montreal again. Spurgeon and Middleton may play tomorrow, according to the reporting of Jesse Pierce. Bouillon, his debut is possible, but they're not really divulging that, and I get it. I totally get it. Things can change between now and tomorrow night anyways, but yeah, Minnesota, a team that has dealt with a lot of injuries and trying to get everybody healthy in the lineup and get all that chemistry back they had early in the season. Minnesota looked fantastic early in the season. They really did. So Jet Greaves is the reason that the Columbus Blue Jackets are still alive in the playoff hunt. And one thing Columbus needs to do this offseason is address goaltending. We have talked about this for years, but now that Don Waddell's had a full year as general manager, I would expect the goaltending to be addressed. Greaves, in his last 3 starts, 3-0 with a .968 save percentage. He's looked fantastic. And so Greaves is making a case for himself to get a role with the team next year. I'm not going to say starter. I've seen some saying, well, maybe he could be the starter next year. I think the backup role would be fine. And then it's a matter of who would be Columbus's starter. That's the big question mark I have with Columbus. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on who you think should be the next starting goaltender for Columbus, or do you think Greaves has earned the right to have that? So let's go ahead and jump into the preview, and then I'll get into the item that's at the bottom of the board as well after the preview. So we got 6 games tonight in the NHL. 2 of them are on Amazon Prime. So for people who don't have Amazon Prime, apologies, and I do wonder if we're going to see a lot of this next year, if we're going to see a lot of double headers on Amazon Prime. I've talked about this before. Not going to get into it here. You guys can let me know your thoughts, but 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, we have 3 games starting then, 1 an hour later, and then 2 late starts. So it's nicely spread out. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Chicago in Montreal. This is one of the 2 Amazon Prime games. Chicago 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. They have been mathematically eliminated, of course. The Montreal Canadiens 6-3-1 in their last 10. They are 3 points ahead of Columbus and clinch a playoff spot with a win tonight, as Columbus only has 2 games left, so they're not able to get more than 4 points in 2 games. Montreal would be 5 points ahead, and there you go. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Dallas in Detroit, a game where I expect Dallas to be resting players. Detroit might be too. I don't know why a team that's been eliminated would necessarily rest players other than guys who are injured and been trying to play through it. Dallas 5-3-2 over their last 10. They're second in the Central. I still have a lot of concerns with Dallas. Detroit 5-4-1 in their last 10, and as previously mentioned, eliminated from the playoffs. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the New York Rangers in Florida. The Rangers 4-5-1 in their last 10. As I mentioned before, they're eliminated from the playoffs. Florida 5-4-1 over their last 10 games, and 2 points back at Tampa Bay for that second place spot. So Florida, I expect them to come out and play a pretty good game tonight, and try to push Tampa if they can. And we'll see what happens there. Because, of course, if they see Tampa falter at all, that also would help Toronto, because Toronto's only 1 point from clinching the division, which would mean they face Ottawa in the first round. So there's that. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Utah in Nashville against the Preds. Utah 5-3-2 in their last 10, not making the playoffs. Nashville 3-7 in their last 10, also not making the playoffs. Then at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, the LA Kings in Edmonton. This one's on Prime as well. Basically, the LA Kings are looking to clinch home ice. By my calculations, they're 2 points ahead of Edmonton. So, if they win this game tonight in regulation, they clinch home ice in that matchup against Edmonton in the first round. LA's 7-3 in their last 10. Edmonton 6-4 in their last 10. We'll see how it goes. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start. San Jose in Vancouver against the Canucks. I just got curious, too, the other day, have prices come down on tickets for this game over the last week? Yep, they've come down. Not substantially down, though. It's still $140 for the lower bowl and the corners, and I was like, nah. Not that I was going to go. I really, no. It's still, that's we're looking at probably $350 between the tickets, price of gas, parking, and everything. It's just nah. San Jose's 1-7-2 in their last 10, also eliminated from the playoffs. Vancouver 5-3-2, eliminated from the playoffs. So there's nothing really to play for there, but should be a fun game anyways. Celebrini and Smith on one side, and the Canucks with a lot of guys up from Abbotsford that have been getting a shot at playing with the big club. And so, yeah, it should be an interesting one. So I wanted to talk a bit about this because I've seen a lot of people asking about the Frozen Four. And am I going to talk about Western Michigan winning the NCAA title? In the U.S., the Frozen Four is a big deal. NCAA is a big deal. It's not in Canada. NCAA football does get some play up here, and people keep track of the NCAA football. I know I used to watch NCAA football religiously, but the Frozen Four doesn't. It doesn't have broadcasting in Canada. The Memorial Cup is the big one in Canada. That's the one that is the championship of the Canadian Hockey League, so WHL, OHL, and QMJHL. Frozen Four I've never really followed. The NCAA games don't get broadcast up here. Which has led to, I've seen this as well, he just covers the NHL then. I do my best to cover various leagues, but for instance, I'm wearing an AHL jersey because earlier in the season, Monday was AHL Day, and there just wasn't much interest. And when I dropped the AHL videos, there really wasn't much in the way of comments and all that. And I had to make a pivot at one point this year where I was like, okay, some of these videos don't get a ton of views, and people don't like it when YouTubers talk about views, and I get that. But that pivot had to happen. So while I try my best to cover as much from around the hockey world as I can, the NCAA Frozen Four just doesn't get talked about in Canada. It's not a big deal. Whereas the Memorial Cup does get talked up a lot. Winning a Memorial Cup is considered to be a pretty big deal for junior age players. I understand that winning a national title with the NCAA is a big deal in the U.S. as well, but that's the difference right there. That's how you can tell you're watching a Canadian YouTuber, because the Frozen Four doesn't really get much press at all. Go to Sportsnet, go to TSN's websites. It's just, it's just we don't pay as much attention because it's all on the U.S. side of things, and so yeah, I mean that could change in coming years, absolutely. But it is one of those things that I don't watch the Frozen Four. I kind of pay attention to which teams are getting eliminated when, depending on which prospects could sign in the NHL after. But yeah, that's the difference between the Canadian coverage, the U.S. coverage, and that's why I do NHL videos as I do, because they do generate a lot more views, and it's kind of how that works. One thing that I've said for years is that if somebody started or had a channel that was just dedicated to the AHL or the ECHL, I used to do videos on the Southern Pro Hockey League, which is a lot of fun. I think there's a niche audience for that, and I think a channel dedicated just to those leagues could work. But for me personally, I do report on as much as I can, and there are items that end up on the board about AHL and things of that nature as well. And when the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are done, usually the Calder Cup is still going, and that's when I put some money down to get streaming access to the AHL, and I cover some AHL championship games, and it's always fun. It's been fun the last couple of years to watch Hershey win their Calder Cups, and it'll be interesting to see who wins it this year. Rooting for Abbotsford and all that, and we're season ticket holders here in Abbotsford as well. So it's not really that I don't have an interest. It's that for the content and for the channel, I go in the direction that viewers tell me to go, and that's really what, as a YouTuber, we generally tend to do. So there you go. I hope this explains it to people. I do apologize. I know that there are people that are very excited about the NCAA tournament, the Frozen Four, and I know it gets a lot of play on ESPN, a lot of play on TNT where they're talking about it, but it really does not get talked about much in Canada at all, outside of this university's now been eliminated, so is this prospect going to sign with this team? That's when that gets brought up. But that's about it. But thank you guys so much for all your support as always. It's greatly appreciated. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all your support as the regular season winds down. I'm looking forward to playoffs starting on Saturday. Kind of getting excited. Thank you guys so much for your support. As I stated, I will talk to you again soon.